Hi, I'm John Messer. I'm the Leadership Development Catalyst for Luminex. And today I'd like to talk to you about systems thinking. And as we talk about systems thinking, what I'd like to do is introduce you to kind of a model of thinking through systems in a classic iceberg model. It's winter, icebergs are good. So when we think about systems, we want to realize that every complex organization, every church is a system. And the complexity of the components of that system work together in ways that create the outcomes. As a matter of fact, every system is perfectly designed to produce the outcome that you're seeing. And so if something is producing an outcome that you don't like, you have to identify what's going on. And quite honestly, many leaders are stuck looking at the level of the events. And quite honestly, when you think of an iceberg, that's the part that's above the water. It's easily recognizable, you see it, and that's what you tend to focus on. And the problem is this: when you focus on events as a leader, you tend to react. If you're only looking at events, you tend to react. As a matter of fact, that's where the quick fixes come from, is a reaction against events. So if you really want to be a good leader and get below the surface, to the iceberg below the water, you need to think about patterns and trends. So for example, let's say that the event is I am catching a cold. Well, the pattern and trend that I may recognize in my life is that I haven't been sleeping well lately and I've been catching a lot more colds. That's the pattern and the trend. And so what can you do at the level of patterns and trends? You can anticipate. If you find that you're catching more colds and you've recognized that pattern, then you can say, well, what can I do about that? So if you go a little bit deeper, you can talk about the underlying structure of that system. And so in that system, you're catching colds, and that happens to be associated with sleeping a lot less. Then you can recognize, well, I have a lot more stress at work. My diet hasn't been as good. I've been having too much fast food. And so at that level of underlying structure, you can design a way to get yourself out of that structure. You can restructure your system, your life, so that you would eat better, so that you can have less stress at work, so that you won't be catching colds as much, you'll sleep better, and you'll affect the event of you'll not catch so many colds. But even below that, there's one more level, and this is the bedrock of a system. Not only are the events, patterns and trends, underlying structure, but all of those things are built upon mental models. And as leaders, you know how important mental models are. Mental models are the basis of our culture, they're our beliefs, our values, they're our assumptions about reality. And so let's take the cold example again. So I catch a lot of colds, I haven't been sleeping well, it's been recurring more often, I have a lot of stress at work, I haven't been eating well. Well, what are the mental models perhaps that would be contributing to that? And after some reflection and in a flash of self-awareness, I might realize, well, what I believe is that my work is my identity. And the other thing I've recognized is that rest is for the unmotivated. So not only do I not rest well, I also work myself to death. And so I'd rather work than eat properly. I need to work because that's who I am, and so I don't get appropriate rest. So all of those things build. So based on that mental model, that structure of my life is designed upon it. The trends and the patterns that I see are built on that, and the events that I'm experiencing are simply the practical reality of the outcome of the system that I have built in my life. The same thing is true for a church. And the question I have for you today is, if you can see the value of this, the truth is your church is a system that is perfectly designed to produce the outcome that you're seeing. Is it good? Or do you need to restructure? Do you need to address the mental models of your system?